anyone else had any problem. And I was just one, it's just by the, maybe we should start. and if we can all come together in the temple, no problem. We can have a join, but maybe if you'd like to address us. So I think Mahaprabhu knows much more than all of us here. And Nityananda Prabhu knows what's going to happen next week.
Can sit here.
So it's our
Don't need to
glory
stand.
to Nityananda and Advait Prabhu, such a close class on his Prabhu and both of them. Linde Mataji's holiness Raj's name. His whole
Stay. No, not right now.
She also
Not right now.
has a Giraj Shila. It's a very beautiful gift. And also Acharya Prabhu and the chapel of it's one to for and wonderful and going in with consciousness, American countries taking the Guru curses but letting Krishna consciousness that I have I will live in this world. When I depart, I will. Prabhupada's temple is none different than Vrindavan and Mayapur. So it's just really amazing. And when Advait Acharya Prabhu was first sent to by somehow he was invited in 2009, a year before we arrived. There has been such a wonderful step, and His Grace Jivanand Prabhu, when he introduced Advait Acharya, he said, Guru Prasad Maharaj has brought the big guns against Maya. So Advait Acharya Prabhu he described as a big gun, which can destroy everything which Maya has to offer. So, it's and he also came along with few other devotees. That's why we started something called Ashram 5 Panchatattva, five devotees. So it was a wonderful time, and we also had a first Rath Yatra, I guess. So, first. It was
Sorry to disturb you, Prabhuji. The sound is breaking.
And thousand to oh, Hare Krishna. Can you hear me?
No, Prabhuji, your sound is breaking.
Can you hear me okay? Oh, it's breaking? Okay.
Yeah.
That means I should just wind up, I guess. So I'll just wind up quickly. I don't know how to. Is it okay? Or I can just stop the video and come very close to the. a phone if you want.
Yeah, now it's
Is
getting
that
better.
okay?
Yeah, it's getting better.
Okay. Okay, so did you hear what I said before or no?
No, Prabhuji, it was breaking. Sorry.
Oh no.
We heard
Okay.
a little bit, Prabhuji, like you guys started the Ashram 5 together,
Okay.
and you were
Not,
introducing Advait.
I wasn't there. I came later while Advait Acharya Prabhu started Ashram 5. And in the single-handedly, he started Ashram 5 in 2009, 2010. And it was the first Ratha Yatra where I met Advait Acharya Prabhu and Guru Prasad Maharaj for the first time in 2010. And it was in the middle of hundreds and thousands of people were watching this beautiful parade, and it's such a jubilation. It was such a so
Prabhuji, you're breaking up again.
many used to Krishna. Okay. 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 I'll just I can start. So anyway, I'm really fortunate that we have Advait Acharya Prabhu, and maybe I can speak towards the end. Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. His Grace Advait Acharya Prabhu ki jai.
Hare Krishna. Can everybody hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Is it
Prabhu.
clear? Is it clear or it's breaking up?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay, it's not breaking up.
No, you sound good.
So far, so good. Let's see how it goes. Yeah, thank you very much, Dhananjaya Prabhu. That was very, very kind of you. You have been always kind to me and my senior. So whatever kind and interrupted words they were breaking up, you have shared. And whatever I've caught, I hope to live to or live by one day. So it will be like my homework. Thank you.
I haven't started describing as yet, but maybe later. It was just an introduction.
Whatever you say, I hope I'll have a opportunity to respond.
Okay.
Thank you. So how do you usually normally do this? What did the chanting already?
Yes.
Did the chanting already happen there in
No.
temple? It did not happen yet.
No, this is online only program, Prabhu. We don't have it at the temple here.
Oh, this is online only. Okay, so there's
Yes.
nobody there at the temple. Okay, all right. So normally you chant. Yes.
Yes, we do, Prabhuji.
Okay, all right. So that goes for a couple of minutes, and then I'm just trying to get the orientation, time orientation in the timeline for how long the lecture goes.
Yes.
It goes about an hour.
An hour. Okay, all right. So everything is wrapped up by what, like well, for you it's 2:30. He will be 3:30 or 3:45.
Yes, Prabhuji.
Okay, all right. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopijana Vallabha Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunati Ravanachari Jamunati Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Vihari Radha Kunja Vihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Girivaradhari Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Yashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamunate Ravanachari Jamunate Ravanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare
Krishna Krishna Hare
Hare Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Shri Shri Radha Madhavashta Sakhi Panchatattva Prahlad Maharaj Nrsimhade Bhagavan Ki Jai. Jayam Vishnupad Paramahamsa Parivrajaka Acharya Ashottara Sutta Shri Srimad Sridhandi Goswami, His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj, Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai. Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai. ISKCON Guru Vrinda Ki Jai. Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Shad Goswami Rupa Raghunatha Ki Jai. Prem se kaho Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasari Gaura Bhaktivinoda Ki Jai. Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopa Gopinath Shyamakunda Radha Kunda Giri Govardhana Giriraj Maharaj Ki Jai. Vrindavan Dham Mathura Dham Ki Jai. Navadip Dham Mayapur Dham Ki Jai. Jagannath Puri Jagannath Swami Baladev Subhadra Maharani Ki Jai. Ganga Mai Yamuna Mai Ki Jai. Bhakti Devi Tulasi Maharani Ki Jai. Harinam Sankirtan Jagya Ki Jai. Yuga Dharma Nam Sankirtan Ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Sitanath Premanandi. Hare Krishna Mahamantra Ki Jai. Samaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to assembled devotees. Hare Krishna. All glories to lotus feet of Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine. Namaste Krishna Paraya Prabhupada Shtatmane Sri Gaura Karuna Shakti Bhakti Tirtha Swami Namine. Hare Krishna. All right, let's see who is here. Cassandra is a host. Thank you for hosting. Brian, Hare Krishna. Is it just you or the whole family?
Oh, Hare Krishna. It's me and Rebecca right now. We're trying to log into on the computer so we can turn on our webcam.
I see Rebecca. Is that other Rebecca?
No, that's my Rebecca. Well, Rebecca Tolentino, my wife.
So you got, don't forget, she is Krishna's.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was like. I mean,
she is Krishna's as much as you are Krishna's. So you guys take care of each other in that way. So that means you both are on two devices. Oh, now you're now you're on one device. Okay, Brian, who is Brian? Oh, that's you. Okay.
Yeah.
And Dhananjaya Prabhu. Okay, and Bhakta James.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Wonderful. Haribol. And Pramod. Did I
Krishna
met?
Pramod Prabhu is a rising star of he's his embodiment of devotion, and both of them, Pramod and Meera, actually, they are absolutely, they have sent from the spiritual world just to help us out in our little endeavor here, and they are already very advanced soul. And I met them in I think in the Ratha Yatra in the Hindu temple.
Wonderful. Pramod. So I never got a pleasure and honor to meet you, Pramod, but I hope
Very soon.
I hope
Yes,
very
Prabhuji.
soon in the near future we do meet in person. However, the Sangha goes on in person, online, or otherwise.
Yes, Prabhu. That's
the mess-
all Krishna's wish.
Yes, the message is transcendental, nevertheless. So what we share it keeps us connected on a very deep level.
He's so pure that he has a reciprocation with his Laddu Gopal.
Ah,
And his
so
Laddu
yeah.
Gopal are growing teeth now.
So that's wonderful. That's wonderful. The signs of our devotion are all around us, and they can be denied. Laddu Gopal is your Ishtadev, and that is a very sweet form of the Lord.
Oh, Jai.
They say the children, they reciprocate quicker, faster, and in a more abundance. So Krishna in that form of Laddu Gopal, of a child, I'm sure he also with you, especially with you, with the devotion that you have, he also reciprocates in abundance and very, very quickly. This is the mercy.
And he's also going to host Friday programs, which we are going to start from this Friday with Advaita Chandra from Houston and Kalasuda Mataji.
Wow, wonderful, wonderful. So today, as a topic, I heard there was a second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita, right?
Yes, Prabhuji.
And so we're going to try to cover that in the next 40 minutes or so. This is maybe a funny question, but I just want to check in, how is the health situation there in San Antonio? Everybody's safe and sound, and you guys are staying well and healthy in a light of a new wave of numbers of people getting sick? Yes, everybody's healthy.
Prabhuji, I think we just got over the storm of COVID. A few of us had COVID, tested positive. Basically everybody here.
Whoever you see, everyone.
Yeah, but by the grace of God, like, nobody was serious or anything. We all recovered.
Okay, wonderful. So you did recover. So there was something mild and nothing major. I heard there's a new, just if you might be interested, there's a new booster. It comes in 2, and sometimes it comes in 1. It's what is it called? HKM 16. Did you guys heard of that new booster?
No, Prabhuji.
Prabhuji, not yet.
Okay.
Yeah, it's the best one. It's a new, but it's the oldest. It's the oldest booster, HKM 16. Sometimes they serve it as HKM 56 that comes in 2, and it's very, very good. And what I'm talking about is the HKM, the Hare Krishna mantra, in 16 rounds. And the 2 boosters, they come in HKM 56 times 2 is 108. I'm sorry, 54. So if you haven't been inoculated in that way, I highly recommend you take a daily dose. And regardless if you are in a vaccinated or non-vaccinated category or group, this will be very good to add to your immunity, because we do want to become immune to the effects and influence of the material energy that comes in so many ways. I mean, people are freaking out about virus, but the main infection and the influence of material energy is through modes of nature. And we are all victims of that gloomy effect that material nature has on us and our minds. So we have to be fortified. Our spiritual immune system has to be fortified by daily dosage. Just like you all just now recovered from the unfortunate event of getting down with the bug, with the virus. But you didn't just get well on your own, right? You were taking some supplements. You increased your immunity by some vitamin C and vitamin D and whatnot. So there's a regimen of getting better, right? So in the second chapter, this is very interesting. This is exactly what happens. Arjuna, he realizes, I'm not well. I need to get better because I'm very perplexed. I'm very bewildered and I'm very confused. And he admits to Krishna, please help me. I'm your surrendered soul now. Please instruct me. This is the pinnacle of his weakness. And just to connect, because second chapter is called, it's the name that given by one of our acharyas, Bhaktivinoda Thakur. He actually named the second chapter the contest of the Gita summarized. So the whole Gita, actually, if you study just, let's say you don't have a time to study the whole Gita, which is a wonderful book that we should find time, but let's say you're busy to cover all the first 6 chapters that cover the Karma Yoga and the last 6 chapters that cover the Jnana Yoga, and the most important, the middle 6 chapters that cover the Bhakti Yoga. Let's say you don't have time, but just studying the second chapter, it's so wonderful because it has it all, because it's the summarized form. So you will find all the elements of Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, and Bhakti in that second chapter. So, but before there's a connection between the first and second. And of course, there's a connection between second and third, and like that, all the chapters are connected, however separated. So there's something interesting I want to share with you that happens at the end of first chapter. The very last verse is a wonderful verse. Let me share with you. So in the last verse of the first chapter, there's something very interesting that Prabhupada says in a purport, because this is the verse that Arjuna, Sanjay is reporting, that after Arjuna has spoken, giving his reasons and his arguments of not to fight, which are very noble, very dharmic reasons. He was concerned about destruction of the family tradition by which the whole culture is destroyed. And I'm not talking just culture of dharma and artha and kama, but also the sanatana dharma, which part of which is moksha. So all these aspects are part of the civilized society. So some morality is there, and then with morality comes the economic development. We become civilized and able to regulate our existence in material nature. And then with economic development comes ability to enjoy life, provided we are raising ourselves or raising our consciousness to the higher modes, of which, of course, mode of goodness is most desirable. But he was concerned, like, if I do this, like, all of that will be destroyed. This will be uncivilized thing to do. So he said, no, he said, I can't. I can't do this. He was casting aside his bow and arrow, and he said he was just sitting on a chariot, overwhelmed with grief. Now there's something very interesting in purport. So, in other words, Arjuna is depressed. He's paralyzed. He's shaking, because it's unheard of for Kshatriyas to feel that way. And this is after all the conches were blown. The climax already happened. There was so much, the atmosphere was electrified. There was so much tension, and they were just about to get into it as Kshatriyas. And Arjuna is just exhibiting this moments of weakness. And he said, I can't do it. And of course, this is due to Krishna's Maya Shakti, or illusory potency. Arjuna is very, very intimate friend of Krishna, and normally would never be bewildered in such ways, but Krishna needed to speak the Gita, so therefore he has put Arjuna in this situation. He has covered him so he can speak not only for his benefit, but mainly for our own benefit now, thousands of years later. So in the purport, if you like to know how to be fit to receive the Gita from Krishna directly today, in January of 2022, listen carefully. He said, and he shares, that it's a very short purport. While observing the situation of his enemy, Arjuna stood up on the chariot, but he was so afflicted with lamentation and grief and depression that he sat down, setting aside his bows and arrows. And Prabhupada said, such a kind and soft-hearted person in devotional service of the Lord is fit to receive self-knowledge. In other words, we can read that backwards. Those who are not kind-hearted and soft, compassionate, they're unfit. Those who are like butchers, killers of the soul, those who are unkind, those who are rude and shrewd, they're unfit. Those who are uncultured in a sense that they don't have a sense of empathy and feeling for others. They're cruel. They're unfit to become recipients of Bhagavan's message. It's a very, very interesting and important point. I just wanted to connect the end of the first, and now which is very interesting, now in the very beginning of a second chapter, like back-to-back verses, this compassion or this kind-heartedness is criticized, apparently, because after Arjuna has done and said that, this is what Krishna said. That, my dear Arjuna, how have these impurities have come upon you? He said, Kutastvam. How so? Or where from? Like what? Like Kutastvam? What's going on, Arjuna? What's going on, Arjuna? Like, how is this possible? How have these impurities come upon you? They're not at all befitting to somebody who knows the values of life. They're called, those people, the class of educated or enlightened people are called Aryans. Nothing to do with Nazi Germany. As a matter of fact, it is borrowed that from, as well as swastika, that was borrowed or ripped off from the ancient Vedic culture. But Aryans, those who know the value of life, they lead to infamy, and they will not lead to the higher regions. Do you see the contradiction? First, Prabhupada glorifies this quality. So what's going on? And now Krishna is saying, like, no, this is not right. So what's going on? Are the devotees kind and sentimental, or they are cold and inconsiderate? Like, which one is it? Well, neither. What's going? The devotees are very considerate and very kind, and they are very compassionate. Vaishnavas are oceans. Vaishnavas are known as ocean of mercy, ocean of compassion. However, in this case, Arjuna's compassion is misplaced. It is not the problem in being kind-hearted. It's a problem of how we express that. Just like a knife. A knife, let's say you have a boil in your hand or leg. I don't know if there's doctors amidst you, but I'm not a doctor, so I wouldn't be able to operate, right? I might have a compassion, but my hands would shake because I never cut the skin. I never cut the, so I might exhibit the similar symptoms of what Arjuna was exhibiting here. But in the hands of a trained surgeon, that same scalpel and knife would do a very nice job of removal what is rotten or what is not in a good healthy state. Similarly, same knife can be in the hands of a mass murderer, can be utilized in a ways that are against dharmic principles. So compassion can be -1, 0, or +1. Same sentiment, same emotion can be expressed in a negative way, in a neutral, paralyzed way, which Arjuna is facing now, because he's contemplating the right feeling in the wrong way. And how does Krishna help him? He leads him through the whole, and there's beautiful sections in a second chapter of that address Jnana Yoga, or the difference between understanding the difference between the spirit and matter, or between the body and the soul. And he kind of unjams or unlocks this paralysis that Arjuna is feeling, because he's contemplating the right thing, but in a wrong way. So we as devotees, we also, we can find ourselves kind of in this, it's called divided mind. And especially in Kali Yuga, our minds can be divided, like what to do, like should I do this or should I do that? Like the uncertainty in decision making. We can be perplexed, we can be very, very confused, and this determination can be taken away from us. So what to do? What to do? This is divided mind of conditioned soul that struggles very, very hard for existence. So therefore, Krishna is there to help not only Arjuna, but through his wonderful message to help us to become established in a higher intelligence. Because as we immerse ourselves in Shastra, we are gifted the high intelligence. So we move with the additional velocity in life. This is a devotee. Devotee is someone or anyone who is situated in Krishna consciousness. A bhakta or Krishna conscious person moves through life with additional velocity. Like if you're on a skateboard, I don't know if you have a skateboard, but on a bike, let's say on a bike, and you kind of grab a car that moves with a power of the engine. You don't have to pedal. And it pulls you, right? It pulls you and propels you forward with a much stronger pull that you would ever done on your own pedaling, right? So this is Krishna consciousness. It's a linking process to the higher power, where clarity and strength and inspiration becomes more apparent in our heart, not because of our efforts, but because of the mercy that it's brought down to us via medium of Guru Parampara. So this is what Krishna becomes to Arjuna. He becomes a teacher. And later on in the fourth chapter, it will be formalized through the proper process of approaching a spiritual master. But this is also one of the topics here in the second chapter, the importance of a higher power in our, or connection to the higher power in our life. And what does Krishna do? He uses the shock therapy. He calls Arjuna names because remember, like Arjuna is paralyzed, like I don't know what to do. So for somebody, I don't know if you ever been around someone who is like so much in shock that they're like frozen. Like there's some, there's a psychological jam. If somebody who has experienced a frightening situation, they can freeze. So one of the ways to unfreeze them is to induce them with another shock. And that is, one of the ways is just slapping them very hard on their back. Kind of, it jolts them into a new breath of life. And that kind of brings them back to know. So this is, in a way, this is what Krishna is doing. He kind of hits Arjuna very hard with some kind of name calling and strong words. He indirectly calls him a fool. Yeah, that let's see, that you're yielding to degrading impotence. This does not become you. Give up this weakness. It says, while speaking learning words, you're pretending to be a wise, but you're not. And then he gives, indirectly he calls him a fool. And then he gives the whole treatise about the difference between the soul and the spirit. And the point here is that on our own, we cannot realize. I mean, we're born in ignorance. And the whole process of education is to give us this opportunity to realize the difference between matter and spirit and to put that in practice in a way that it will be not only beneficial to us, but beneficial to people all around us, especially those that we care for, or there are the people that depend on our care and our input. So it is a responsibility. And therefore, that's why the Vedanta Sutra, it's a prime responsibility for any living entity in a human form of life. And therefore, Vedanta Sutra starts with Atato Brahma Jigyasa. Now it's the time to inquire about the absolute. Now meaning don't delay. Important things should never be delayed. They should be done right away. Like fire, death, like depth, if you're in debt to somebody, you're owing money to the bank or somebody, and that should be taken right away. No debts. Or a fire should be also taken right away. And disease, one should not dwell on, sit idly if there's some disease, should be nipped in the bud. So this whole material existence is like disease-like existence, that our consciousness is plagued with this aham ishvara bhogi and many other misconceptions that we are the center of the universe that we are the controller and enjoyer. Center of the universe or center of our neighborhood, center of our family. I'm the provider of this family. Therefore, these are my children. This is me and mine. Oh, I'm the center and I'm the king of San Antonio. I'm the king of Texas. And this madness goes on and on. It just expands infinitum in all variety of entanglements. And Krishna consciousness is just changing the angle by which we're putting Krishna in the center of everything. And it's so wonderful because it does not depend on giving things up, but adding more and more Krishna in our life. And that's when, and when that consciousness becomes saturated, as our acharyas are showing us, that can be done, then your life, although this world of this whole creation is certified by Krishna as Dukkalaya Shashvatam, place of temporary, place of misery and pain, for devotee becomes a place of joy, a place of infinite opportunities for the ecstatic or practice of the ecstatic pure devotional service. Just by the change of consciousness, change of angle that we see things. Atmano manyate jagat. The world appears the way we perceive it. Consciousness creates reality. Same thing perceived by various people is perceived like broken window. And just one example. Materialist will see a problem. Oh, there's a problem of a broken window. But for devotees, it's ecstatic opportunity to fix the window. To fix the window. But this shift and this transformation of consciousness, it's not possible on our own. We can do it on our own. I don't know if I told you the story ever before there in San Antonio, but there was in a European folk story book. Maybe it might be a Hans Christian Andersen, which is a folk story European writer, but it might be, there are many. There was a story of a baron. You know what the baron is? It's like a kind of aristocratic personality with noble family background, like a prince. And he was on his horse. And he was by himself, just strolling his normal path through the forest. But then he kind of diverted. He shifted and went in a different direction to explore. You know how princes are, they like to explore. And in an unknown part of the forest, the horse ran into a quicksand and it was sinking very, very quickly. The horse was like, and the horse was freaking out. The more horse was freaking out and moving, of course, this is the dynamic and the rule of a quicksand, the quicker they were both sinking. Now the quicksand was the baron's chest, and he himself was freaking out, and he was panicking and didn't know what to do, and his mind was just raveling. And then he had a brilliant idea. He had a turban, beautiful turban, nicely decorated, and he kicked his turban and he grabbed himself by the hair and lifted and moved and put to the safe solid ground away from the quicksand. Of course, this is only possible in a fairy tale. This does not work in a real life. As they say, do not try this at home because it won't work. Like I said, we're born in ignorance in this world. And the whole process of education, it gives us that opportunity to meet not just one, but many teachers. And hopefully, if we're lucky, we'll meet our spiritual mentors that will give us the process by which they are the ones pulling us out of our conditional state of life. Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, the spiritual master of Srila Prabhupada, actually he says there's three explanations. There's a man in a well, when man comes in a dry well. In India, they have these dry wells, just a random field might have a dry, and you won't even notice. You can just walk, and all of a sudden, poof, you'll end up in a dry. Actually, a devotee friend of mine, he ended up in a dry well just walking through some random field. I don't know if it was Vrindavan or Mayapur. It didn't, like, he was covered with grass. He didn't even see it. It just went whoop, very deep down, and broke one of his ribs. And these fields are in remote places, so you can't even see it. And nobody can hear you because it's barely any people going. So a lot of people died, just ended up in a hole in the ground with nobody around for days. But luckily, this devotee friend of mine, there was somebody walking. It was like hell for a couple of hours. He was calling out, help, help. But luckily, he was very lucky that somebody was walking by and they heard him. So Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati explains it, says, when a person ends up in a dark well of this sort, and this material existence is compared to a dark well, a guru comes and drops the rope of mercy. And all we have to do is just hold tight, right? We just have to hold tight to the rope. And he's doing the pulling. Well, it's not just him. The whole Guru Parampara ended up with Krishna Balaram, Krishna Balarama ki jai. They are pulling, and the whole Parampara is pulling. And we just have to hold tight. We should not loosen the grip, because what happens when you loosen the grip? You slip down. So they're pulling, working very hard. And because our grip is not very tight, we're slipping down, again and again, slipping down. So they, at one point, they started wondering, it's like, what's going on? How deep, how deep is this person? And how deep is the hole, or how long is the rope? Of course, the rope is the unlimited. The mercy is unlimited. But we should not take advantage and waste time. Just hold tight. And holding tight means holding tight and adhering to our practices of devotional service, of which most important one is sadhu sangha. We should not think that we can do it on our own. So any opportunity to associate in person or virtually, of course, there's so many Zoom links in an ocean of other Zoom links, but you pick some that you are inspired the most by, and you maintain that tight grip through the inspiration and strength that we get through sadhu sangha. So this is one of the themes of second chapter, that Krishna becomes a teacher, not only to Arjuna, but through him to all of us. And through and there was this transmission was possible only because Arjuna was honest. He was not kalpata. He was not duplicitous or crooked. We have to become simple. following in the footsteps of Arjuna, we have to become simple. Don't be crooked, because if we're crooked, Krishna won't be able to help. Nobody will be able to help us. For crooked people, there's no hope. We have to become very simple and honest. And this is the example and standard that Arjuna sets. He says, I'm confused. Basically he admits his very peculiar condition. He says, I'm confused about my duty. I've lost all composure because of my weakness. In this condition, I'm asking you to tell me for certain what is best for me. Now I'm your disciple, and the soul surrendered unto you. So this surrender is required. As the song goes, surrender, you pretender, pretender, surrender. That's a song of one of my other devotee friend, Gauravani. Gauravani used to have a band, and there was one of their songs, surrender, pretender, pretender, surrender. Yeah, we have to become simple. Do not pretend, because we can. Krishna is there in the heart. You know, if we're disturbed, and whatever our state of consciousness or mind is, we can't pretend that, okay, now I'm going to just chill and meditate and pretend everything's like, no, Krishna is laughing. It's like, no, don't, I want you. I want you as you are, with all the baggage, all the impurities. So it can be dealt with. It can be purified. How can you purify a thing if you're hiding it behind? It has to be brought up. Has to be brought up. But luckily, the holy name is so powerful that thoroughly purifies. Of course, the more attentive we are, the more thorough the purification and fast the purification will be. But if you're hiding and you're pretending and you're making things difficult for the holy name, it'll take some time. It is like trying to light the fire with the wet wood. There's another example by the Acharyas. I believe it's in Srimad Bhagavad. You can try to light the fire with the wet wood, but only smoke will come. And some might argue, when there's smoke, there's fire. But you try to cook on that. Only smoke will come. The tears, suffering, and frustration. And it will take a long time to have a meal cooked on that fire. Meal, any cooking requires blazing fire, and that is dry wood. So these separate desires in our heart, they represent that moisture in the wood. We have to remove those selfish desires and become as much aligned with Krishna's desires as possible. Then there will be a nice blazing fire that we can cook very nicely. Actually, step-grandfather of mine, he used to be known as a miserly person. So he was so miserly, but I mean, he was nice. He was a nice person, but in the same time, it's a mix. We all are a mixed bag of good and bad qualities. So one of his weak spots was he was miserly. So he used to, next to the wood stove, he used to keep a bucket of water. So he would dip the wood in the water before he would put in the fire, just to last longer. But what is the use What is the use of a long life bereft of Krishna consciousness? As the great king and Vaishnava and poet has described, let me die now that I'm Kula Shekhar, the king, the prayers of King Kula Shekhar. Let me die now that when my mind is a sound state and sound mind, let me go now and get entangled in roots of the lotus, like a swan in the roots of the lotus flower that they represent the lotus feet of Krishna, which in return, all lotus feet of Krishna, they represent the pure devotional service, a variety of pure devotional service. So now, like even a moment of this consciousness, it's so much more valuable than the long life that is bereft. So we're looking for that blazing fire of devotional service, and that utsaha, enthusiasm is most important within that relationship of that you have with your spiritual mentors. Be very enthusiastic for devotional opportunities. So many opportunities for devotional service. So I'm looking at the clock. This, like I said, the second chapter is very long, 70 plus verses, and it contains of jnana, karma, and bhakti. And towards the end, there's a beautiful. Let me just. I'll read to you towards the end a beautiful section of 2 verses that gives you the phala, the fruit and result of your endeavors in this way. In text 65 and 66. For one who is thus satisfied in Krishna consciousness, the threefold miseries of material existence exist no longer. Like we said earlier, you will transcend, you'll be able to transcend by your connection with Krishna over and above the threefold miseries. In such satisfied consciousness, one's intelligence is soon well established. And one who is not connected with the Supreme in Krishna consciousness can have neither transcendental intelligence nor a steady mind. The mind always be disturbed if we're not connected with Krishna and Krishna's devotees. And without which there is no possibility of peace. The mind is disturbed. No matter what you bring externally, you always remain disturbed, or you will know no peace. And how can there be any happiness without peace? So, my dear devotees, let us not be disturbed, no matter how many other disturbing elements might be around us. Let us be confident that Krishna is there within the heart and is providing all the satisfaction, prasada. In this verse, prasada, the 65. Prasada sarva dukkana. And buddhi. So the achievement of causeless mercy, this prasada, will be possible when our minds become happy. Our minds become happy not on their own, but by the content we provide to the mind. If flipping to the channels of the news, do you think your mind will become happy or disturbed? It's all about the content, right? What you put in, that's what you put out, or that's what you get out. You cannot expect a fancy meal in a McDonald's. You got to put in some time, some effort, then something wonderful, Krishna will reciprocate. All right, let's see. At this point, maybe there's some comments or questions. We have some time left. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.
Andy has a question.
Yes.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Please accept my obeisances. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. I had can you hear me okay? I have to talk a little low because our 2-year-old's sleeping.
Yes. Whisper, and we'll try to hear. Or you can just write it in the chat.
Oh.
But either way, doesn't matter.
Okay. Well, if you can hear me, then I'll just.
Yeah, I can hear. I can hear.
Okay. Regarding the first point where you're talking about Arjuna was fit to receive the message of Bhagavad Gita because he was kind and soft-hearted, and then you were explaining like all the qualities that make somebody unfit to hear the message or to receive the message. Well, I was just thinking like, in my own experience, I'm sure I've like embodied those bad qualities a lot more so than like I guess now in this life. So this question kind of goes into I think a question that a disciple of Prabhupada had asked, where it's like if I was coming from like being unfit to hear the message, is it that like I'm more fit and that's why I'm like able to be around devotees and hear this message, or is it like just the causeless mercy of Prabhupada coming and bringing this message? I'm not. It's not that I'm fit to hear the Bhagavad Gita. It's that like Prabhupada brought it and I happened to hear it. It's and Prabhupada in addressing his disciple, he said that it was him. Like it wasn't that like the disciple was like qualified. It was that Prabhupada brought the qualification. So I guess that's my question. I don't know if that makes sense.
Yes. I hear you loud and clear. Yeah, Prabhupada used to say both. Sometimes he would say like that. You have no previous qualifications. This is not due to your good fortune. I have created your good fortune. He would say like that. And that is true. But some other instances, he would say, all of you, my disciples, are special souls sent to me by my spiritual master, Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. So we can see both things are there. And again, it could be a dichotomy or contradiction, but both things can coexist if we see things from the right perspective. We are connected eternally with Krishna and all Krishna's devotees. That is our original constitutional position. Nityera Krishna Das, the eternal servant of Krishna. Not just of Krishna, but of Krishna's devotees, because Krishna is never alone. If you look at the picture of Krishna, he's never alone. So there's always some dynamic of service exchanges, ecstatic, in all these variety of ecstatic relationships. So we're connected with Prabhupada also eternally. Actually, all living entities are connected eternally with all other living entities. Here's another concept. Krishna is in my heart, right? And he's also in your heart, Andy. And we say all living entities are part and parcels of Krishna. Are you a part and parcel of Krishna, Andy? I think so. Just like everybody else. That means that you and everybody else is also in my heart. And I'm in yours, as I'm also part and parcel of Krishna. So we're all very intimately connected. But spiritual master's role is nevertheless that he brings the forgotten consciousness, or brings the soul who have been covered with the they have been covered with the material consciousness. So therefore it is the duty of a guru to remind disciples about their eternal relationship with Krishna. This is the only job of a spiritual mentor. Is, taking your hand and taking Krishna's hand and putting them together. The spiritual mentor is pointing out to the moon, and all we see is his finger. And I said, no, pay attention to the moon. So in order to become out of our bewilderment, Krishna, Srila Prabhupada sometimes speaks like that. And naturally so, because especially being born in the West, everybody in the West is very, very bewildered, and they're turned away from Krishna. They are bahirmukha. Their face is turned outward. We have to become antarmukha. We have to turn our attention, our consciousness inward. And then through those lenses, we can perceive everything in the right perspective. So in other words, the rain of mercy is coming down profusely, especially since the appearance of Lord Chaitanya 500 years ago. The rain of mercy is coming very, very profusely. But we have opened, conveniently, we have opened our umbrellas of our false egos, trying not to get wet. And that is unfortunate. So spiritual master is somebody who is snatching those umbrellas of false ego, or trying to close those umbrellas of false ego, in order for us to become profusely soaked in the mercy of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, Sri Sri Panchatattva, Lord Nityananda. It is a very unnatural state for the conditioned soul to remain in the clutches of illusory energy. It's a frozen state. It's a paralyzing state. So we need to, I gave that example of before of when Prabhupada was walking in Boston and was breaking this ice puddles with his cane, and he was saying, what is the meaning? And what is the meaning? And he will crack the ice. What is the meaning? And it will crack the ice. And everybody was, it was early on in Boston, late 60s. Everybody was perplexed. Well, what is Prabhupada doing? So they were trying to figure out what is the meaning. So a few devotees gave their answers, but Prabhupada was not satisfied, none of those. And finally he spoke, says, this is the job of a guru. He breaks the ice-like state of disciples of Shishya's heart, and frozen-like state, and it makes it flow freely like a nice stream of creek of water or river, strong current of river, back home, back to ocean, back home, back to Godhead. This is Guru's job, to break this artificial, like they said, stop pretending, like, don't be artificial, don't be so puffed up. Don't think that you are the enjoyer and controller and you are the king and you are the in charge, or that you are the best. These are all like, actually, Krishna flat out calls them demoniac mentalities. Unfit. Cruel means unfit. Surrender. Become kind. Soft-hearted. And if you're not, chant, beg the holy name to make you as such, to reflect on my own weaknesses. We should not use Shastra to judge others. It is for us. Then you become attractive in Krishna's eyes. You're getting Krishna's attention. Yesterday, we're visiting a little farm here in the East Coast, and I saw these guinea turkeys. And they are so relentless of just crying out, like making this very like high pitch noise. And I was thinking, my God, like, and you cannot ignore. You just can't ignore. And they're so like determined. They're always like coming to you. And this high pitched noise, like making. And it's like, this is how one should be, crying out and begging for the mercy of Krishna, getting Krishna's attention, to soften our iron frame, stone heart, or like Prabhupada said, frozen and stiff heart, steep in misconceptions, variety of illusions, and array of different kinds of vanities that we go after and waste our time. And then there was two, like a pot-belly pigs also in their farm. They also exhibited something very interesting, like their heads were always down, these two pigs. I think their names were Africa and Hawaii. They named them like that. So their heads were always down. They're like really cute, like so like chubby. And the only time the heads were up when they were begging for more food. So I was thinking, one should always also be like this, always humble, but proud, only in begging for more mercy. Our head, our chin should be up as a beggar. You notice me first, as Narottam Das Thakur was praying. Sri Chaitanya, you're known as Patita Pavan. You've come to save all the fallen. Nobody is more fallen than I, so you should. It was begging like that. So their heads were up only to beg more mercy, more prasad. So we also, normally, in normal circumstance, should always remain humble, but also very bold as we beg for mercy with the chin up, eager for more mercy. So I was just noticing that yesterday. I don't know if that connects the dots with what you were commenting or asking, Andy, but I'm just sharing a few things.
Yes, thank you very much.
All right. Anything else? Dhananjaya Prabhu, would you like to add anything?
Thank you. First of all, it's just amazing to hear you after several months, I guess. Months. Yeah, I hope next one it won't be that much, that big of a gap. Yeah.
In your feeling, in your separation, one moment is like many years and more, Prabhu. I miss you.
Yeah, I miss you. We all miss you here. Maybe while visiting, you should keep San Antonio in your route.
Always.
Places to visit.
San Antonio is home.
Yeah. So I really liked your point of you said about the false ego and the gratefulness. And this is so important actually, what you just mentioned, because the false ego is such a thing that it sometimes some people here also, and it's in me also. I'm just saying what is the false in me actually. Sometimes people have concept about sub-religious principle. For example, the medicine or the mask and so many things, and they are willing to give up Krishna consciousness if it is necessary. If their principles have been compromised, because what they hear is whole day and night, it just destroys their intelligence. No, though it is so much knowledge and the facts, what's going on around, but if the Krishna is not taken so much, and if we act as per our false ego and thinking that this is more important and that Krishna consciousness is not, because this is the deals with the life and this and that, whatever, people can be drifted away. So this may be a great example for Arjuna to decide which one to take, whether to take Krishna's shelter or to take the Kula Dharma, the religious, the whatever he was thinking. So it's so practical what you just spoke about, not acting as per the false ego, because if we don't have a proper association, and we keep hearing not so much about things about Krishna consciousness, we can be drifted in such a way that will not even know that the highest priority of our life has been switched to the sub-religious principles than Krishna consciousness. So, whether it may be a politics or it could be a whatever it may be, or a health or whatever it may be. So it's so nice to keep hearing about the pastimes of the Lord, because the contents, you also spoke about the contents in the what did you yes, you spoke about the contents, what's in the memory, or it's in our consciousness, is something about the mercy of the Lord is so important, and the mercy of the devotees. If we may become scholar or so many things in different things, but if we don't become humble, or if we all these contents which are coming in and drives our consciousness away and starts making offenses towards the devotees, then I think all the sub-religious principles become so powerful. Just like a Duryodhan, he was actually destroying 1.67 billion people, and he never thought that he's going to do it. But the Yudhishthir Maharaj, though it was not his fault, he took all the blames of all these people who are dying in a battle. It's because of my fault. And similar condition was been formed. Just like Arjuna's bewilderment in the beginning, the Yudhishthir was bewildered at the end when he saw that so many, and he took a blame upon himself. He was so depressed. So Krishna took Yudhishthir Maharaj to Bhishma Dev. He did not put him to and heard from him, become his guru. So it's so beautiful that one at the beginning, another one was at the end, at the same precarious situation. But Yudhishthir Maharaj was humble, so he took it upon himself. But Duryodhana never thought that this is because so many people are suffering. It's nothing to do with me. So
yeah, this is not our home. We are in a strange environment, like a fish out of water. And because of that, we're always alert, imperceptibly. And we always have to stay on guard, always alert, not to become too complacent. And that's why another reason, most important probably, why we need devotee association, because we are each other's brother's keeper.
Yep.
On our own, we become very easily victimized by Krishna's illusory potency or Maya, in all kinds of forms. So yeah, it's very important because it happens. Probably uses the word imperceptibly. You can't even tell. It just sneaks upon you, imperceptibly. You can't even tell. Just like the sunset. It's so gradual. The darkness just sneaks upon all of us, right? When the sun is setting, such a gradual transition. You can't even tell. All of a sudden, whoa, it's dark. How did that happen? Well, the last couple of minutes, or last hour, it's not what happened. Usually when it comes to being in kind of illusory or compromised situation, it's not what happened, it's what was happening all throughout this whole time, this last week or last year, last couple of years. It's a gradual increments. Like, they say the airplane from point, let's say from New York to LA, or let's say from New York to Paris. When airplane flies, 90% of the route, it's off the course because of the nature of the world and the turbulences in the air. Material world is always in a flux. There's always some storm, some turbulence, especially up there in the air. So 90% of the flight, the airplane is off the course. Did you know that? But because the pilot knows, just like in any Google Maps, in order for journey to take place, you need point A and point B, your location and your destination, right? Then the journey is possible. And because pilot knows I'm flying to Paris, he's able to correct the course. And it does that like multiple times along the flight. Is correcting the course. So our ability to correct the course is the environment of sadhusanga, right?
Yes.
So that's another example. Thank you for sharing that, Prabhu. Dhananjay.
It's so important. The association is like it can bewilder even the greatest personalities like Maharaj Bharat. We are just ants.
There you go. That's a wonderful.
It's
that's
like
a wonderful.
I
wonderful
forget the
example.
comparison. Yeah. We are like ants in front of Bharat Maharaj.
Yeah, that's a wonderful example. Wonderful example. Yeah. Without properly understanding of Siddhanta, of which the importance of devotee association is one of the conclusions of Siddhanta. So without proper understanding of Siddhanta, there's no way one cannot come out of anartha. Is that a rhyme? I think that's a rhyme. Without proper understanding of Siddhanta, one cannot come out from anartha. And that's exemplified in wonderfully in the example of Bharat Maharaj. Yeah. He was so close on a stage of bhava, like very high very, very high level of Krishna consciousness. But still, because he was alone, it was a slip up. Most important, sadhu sangha, devotee association is most important. We cannot do it otherwise. It is madness to think otherwise. Yeah. And even Lord Chaitanya, he exemplified that same thing. He always glorified the devotees. He glorified the opportunities for coming together, organizing festivals, traveling. He was a golden avatar and unifying factor of powerful movement that will inundate the entire world, despite of sectarian mentalities that might occur on the horizon. His power of unified movement of Lord Chaitanya is way too big, and it will just flood everything. And even those who are not willing or who are resisting the idea of unity in diversity, they also will be swept up by the strong current of prema bhakti that is for everybody. Yeah, this is the program of Lord Chaitanya. So as we follow Lord Chaitanya, we keep those things in mind. And as we forget those things, then we simply become a disturbance. Like a kid, like those kids that they don't like to share things with others. They don't like to share things with others. They're like, I'm just like hoarding over it. Like, this is mine. I don't want to share this. This is my little kingdom. You stay away. Like childish mentality. But nevertheless, Lord Chaitanya is all benevolent. It's just flooding everybody. Like Dhananjaya Prabhu, his heart is like that. So all benevolent, all accommodating, just floods everybody with mercy. This is my payback. This is my payback.
No. You made it a long conclusion.
For the introduction, for your introduction there earlier.
Actually, it's the one who has the quality sees all others have that quality. So you have that magnanimous heart. That's why you see other people. It's like wearing the glass. If you are magnanimous, you see all others are magnanimous.
Yeah, Atmana Manyate Jagat.
Yes. So who you are, you think the whole world is like that. So anyway, so this was a great point you mentioned. And I think the best approach would be to accept our position. That's the most important aspect of in making advancement. Accepting who we are as in reality and take the shelter of the Lord in a helpless and hopeless way. And Arjuna had his own philosophy like that. So many people, I'm just, this week was such a hard for me, Prabhu, because I had to hear so many different people talking different philosophies and all these ideas and this and that. So I was just wondering, it's just the same as Bhagavad Gita, because Arjuna has his own philosophy, but he finally gave up everything and surrendered to Krishna's will. What Krishna wants you to surrender. He's always wanting you to think about him. So we so many times we get into the practicality of the solving the issues rather than forgetting the solution is not really solving the practical problems in a practical way, but the solution is going to the root is forgetfulness of Krishna. So people are so bewildered, and this is like really crazy. So I think the biggest disease, as Prabhupada mentioned, is that the forgetfulness of Krishna consciousness. So thank you, Prabhu.
Yes.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
association of devotees like you, it just gives us so much remembrance. And because of the purity of the heart and detachment of everything, what you have shown in your life also, it's like so amazing. So it's a really great example for all of us to aspire for.
Hare Krishna. Any other comments? Well, actually, yeah, we're way over time. So I thank you all for coming and associating in this way. What is the name of devotee? Has a Ladhu Gopal? Is this still here?
Pramod and Meera.
Pramod, my name is Meera.
Oh, that's still Meera is a Ladhu Gopal.
It's Makanchor.
It's actually Makanchor.
Makanchor. See, I have a question. I have a question for you, Makanchor devotees. This is a very tricky question. You don't have to answer it now, but I'll give you 1 week or to think about it.
Okay.
What do you think? Does Krishna like cows because of the butter, or he likes butter because of the cows? You don't have to answer now, but there's a very distinct difference there.
Okay.
And by the way you answer, you'll tell me a lot about you. Not in a bad way, because there's no wrong answers, but I'll know what kind of person you are. And actually, this is a question for everybody there. This is a question for everybody. Does Krishna, and you can think about it, and you can bring your answers next time you see Dhananjaya Prabhu. Does Krishna like cows because of the butter, or he likes butter because of the cows? Okay, so thank you. Yes?
No.
So
I mean,
just one.
after
Go
we
ahead.
balance his answers, I mean,
Huh?
I don't want to say anything now. I will probably say. I also,
If
yeah,
you want,
We were saying
we
the
were
same.
saying same. We feel
Cassandra.
that the Krishna likes butter because of the cows.
wonderful. That's a wonderful answer.
The
Yes,
same
you-
also answered by Cassandra.
Everybody has the same
Everyone
answer.
has the-
Everyone is typing their answer. They all have the
Oh,
same.
they all have. Wow, you're all wonderful and very
Yeah.
exalted. You're all very exalted devotees. I'm impressed. Yeah, he likes butter because of the cows. Yes, wonderful. You're all exalted devotees. Because Krishna is not in a business of exploitation and profit. You see, Krishna is into relationships, dynamics of relationships, especially when they become spiced with devotion and affection. And that is a devotee, one who aspires to develop devotion in his or her heart. He is not liking cows because of the butter. Oh, I'm just going to like you because I can get something from you. That is exploitive business, like profitable relationship. Krishna is not into that. He's Sarvaloka Maheshwara, he's Atmaram, he's self-contained, self-satisfied. He doesn't need anything. Because cows love him so much, he reciprocates in that way. Oh, this butter, so nice. Oh, he came from my beloved cows. He's Govinda. Govinda.
Right.
And he relishes. He relishes because, why? Because of the love that the cows have for Govinda. They're naturally attracted. They're running with their tails up, just running towards Krishna, because in return, Krishna is the lover of the cows, is Govinda. And in return, they reciprocate. Because of that loving relationship, yeah, he likes butter because it reminds him he is in trance as he relishes the offering from the cow. And they're devotees, because butter doesn't come from the udder, it becomes milk. And then they're devotees. Of course, they churn it into butter. So there's so many individuals who are participating in a process of pleasing Krishna, and then Krishna reciprocates. And by tasting that, he's tasting everybody's devotion. So he's enchanted by that. And then devotees reciprocate even more, and then Krishna. So this is the constant competition between Krishna's energy embodied in Srimati Radharani and Krishna. So it brings the eternal expansion of the spiritual world and his Hladini Shakti of pleasure-giving potency. So yes, you're all correct. You have graduated this class today, the same day. You're like super students. Well, you have been already by the care of Dhananjaya Prabhu, so congratulations.
Prabhuji, we are just carrying forward where you left off. That's all. We are. It's your center, as I mentioned. This is. We are. I'm just carrying the whatever orders upon my head, just carrying it forward. That's all. I'm just a servant. So this is your center. And one thing I liked about what you just mentioned about the butter. It's just so sweet, because the more than the milk needs some work, but butter needs more service. So when we perform lot of service, our heart becomes like a butter, in devotional service. In spite of hard, it's not just easy go. Okay, I could do it. No, it's just difficult situation. So I also like to. Thank all the devotees in this situation of, especially the last 1 week has been such hard, really hard week for so many devotees. They were just battling with such a very health crisis. Yesterday, Ganava was actually, she was having a breathing problem. It could have been worse, so we had to make sure the oxygen is there and everything else. But she was okay. Yeah. The thing is, Krishna is just testing so many families, so many devotees against the faith in which we are having, and it's just a boiling the milk, something like that, and going through the difficult situation. And sometimes we can also question, is what we get coming to a temple, or this thing? Why do we need to come there if we get disease and we get this thing? So what we had to go through, and still people showed support. I really feel like crying at this time, and people showed so much support and love, which was unimaginable, and going through the difficult situations in their life, and still showed, we are there, Hari Bol. That really made my heart really, and So thank you all very much.
Yes, all we have is each other, Dhananjaya Prabhu, and everybody else. All we have is each other. After everything is said and done, all we have is each other, because Krishna says also, he says he's not a devotee who says he's my devotee, but a devotee who says and he acts as a devotee of my devotees. And that is my devotee. So this mood of community and cooperation, the mood of being a servant of the servant of the, again, we are the movement of Lord Chaitanya, and Lord Chaitanya sets the mood and the standard of what that means to be aspiring devotee. So he shows again and again how even he himself, he was depending on his devotees. So we depend on each other, and all we have is each other. And in that way, Krishna's attention can be attracted very quickly. We become recipient of Krishna's mercy because we're in that right mood, in the right consciousness. Attitude is everything. If you have a right attitude, no fancy arrangements are required. Even if you're like in most dangerous disease condition, with the right attitude, your heart, like Dhananjaya Prabhu just mentioned, your heart will be overwhelmed with with love and gratitude for the people around you, because you feel devotion, you feel the love and care. Why do we join Hare Krishna movement? Why do we join the movement of Lord Chaitanya? Because our hearts were touched by what? By a door, by a brick and a mortar, by a window? No. Our hearts were touched by another devotee, that we felt cared for on the level that we never experienced before. Material relationships are superficial, they're very external, very shallow. There's no ananda, no satisfaction of the self there. You will not find water in a desert. But you come to the Vaikuntha atmosphere where devotees are, you'll feel so uplifted. You'll feel at home. You'll feel, this is my family. Finally, I've arrived. You feel that deep connection. And that is bhakti. Bhakti moves in independent ways in that way and touches heart through bhakta, through devotee. It is not possible otherwise to become attracted to the movement of Lord Chaitanya. It is very personal, it is very intimate. Why would we come again and again? Because we feel that potency of Lord Chaitanya, his devotional potencies, they come through. And we're all that for each other. All of that and more. And Krishna can empower us to do so much more as we exhibit that love and care for each other. Krishna can empower us so much more to do so much more. Yeah. So yes, thank you. Thank you, Prabhu, for the opportunity. Thank you for not giving up on me. And I wish you all the best in your endeavors. Please be safe. Make sure that you're getting those new yet the oldest boosters that are available out there. HKM 16 and HKM 56, 54. That will strengthen your immune system and I'll see you around.
Thank you very much. Maybe if it is your desire, maybe we can do a little bit kirtan if you'd like to lead us through.
Oh, whatever devotees desire.
Yes.
Would you like to lead, or you want me to lead?
Prabhu, you can lead because we don't get to hear from you.
Oh, okay, all right. So in order for that to take place, I would like, of course, you're welcome to chant alone, but please be muted because
Okay.
unfortunately, I won't be able to hear you. But I've noticed that when everybody unmutes, that creates, what is the word? Cacophony. It creates a lot. It's very, very difficult to. I look forward hearing you in person, but on this way, in this setup and platform, it just creates a lot of static. Yes. I was chanting earlier. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitai Gaur Sitana Premanandi, Hari Hari Hari. Hare Krishna. Were you able to hear?
Yes, yes, Prabhuji.
It's always hard to stop, so my apologies. The holy name is so sweet, but we continue chanting in the program, off the program, morning and evening, day and night. The chanting goes on. Please offer my respects to your good family, especially to Janavi and everybody who struggles with their health. Our prayers to all of you, Raghava Chaitanya Prabhu, all the senior devotees there.
Yes.
Hare Krishna.
Thank you very much. Raghav Chaitanya Prabhu, whenever I speak to him, most of the time he does remember you having the initial kirtan in 2009 and as well as after that.
Yeah, good old time. Good old times in Canyon Lake,
Yes.
next to the dinosaur museum, where the dinosaurs were.
No,
Yeah, I spoke to him yesterday. Actually, he
oh,
called me.
really?
We spoke a little bit. Yes. Mhm.
I'd like to share what he just spoke. It was really inspiring. It really inspired my heart. One story, is it okay? What he said yesterday. Yeah, in 2 weeks ago, he was feeling very, very sick. And but he still thought that he should work. So he was somehow or other like, like Bhishma Dev with all his arrows getting up, something like that. He was doing his job and he was feeling so weak. And he saw, please hear this very attentively. Then he saw the vultures started roaming around him. There are not one or two, but the few vultures, they started roaming around him, and because they can feel the weakness of his health, and then he was just falling on the ground like while working, and then he just somehow or other remembered to say one word, Garuda, 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 Garuda. Wow. And as soon as they say, he just started loudly shouting, Garuda, Garuda. All the vultures, they ran away.
Wow, that's amazing. Garuda Dev ki jai. Haribo.
So thank you all very much again for Raghav Chaitanya Prabhu is instrumental also to this particular place. His blessings means a lot to us, actually. He's just amazing soul. And I feel like if somehow or other, if we can please him, that's it. Then we are in.
Yes,
Yeah,
Prabhupada disciples are very rare, more and more rare.
Yes.
So we have to find ways to honor them properly.
Yes.
Since maybe 10, less than 10 maybe, or 15 years, 20 years maybe. We hope more, but there will become a time when there will be none of them left. None of them left, yeah. So while they're still around, as one wise lady said, give me my flowers while I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Don't speak kind words when I'm gone. just when I'm gone, then everybody's like, ooh. No, when we appreciate and honor and glory and offer respect to each other while we can. Time in life is very short, my dear devotees.
Yeah.
The time is in our lives are very, very short, so we should utilize it. That is another meaning of a Tato Brahmaji. Now that you have time, because tomorrow, 10 days, we're not as fortunate as King Parikshit. We don't know if we have 7 hours ahead of us. So now it's the time to immerse ourselves, glorify devotees, purify our hearts. Yes, because trust no future, no matter how bright it is. And I tell you, looking, just scrolling some news headlines, even if you want to think that future is bright, it doesn't look like that way. Of course, with Krishna, future is always bright. Yes. Lord Chaitanya and Lord Nityananda, future is always bright. So, and they have a plan. We just have to align ourselves with their plan. And that way our lives, our whole existence becomes blissful. Like a lotus flower in this world, but not of this world, not touched by the evil effects of Kali. We become like a lotus flower. That's another thing that it's in the Gita. So good luck studying. the great book of Bhagavad Gita. Share the realization, share what you learn with each other. In that way, your knowledge will grow and grow and more grow. This process is working. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much.
Haribo.
Yes, we can just continue for next 5 hours.
In a good company, it's always hard to stop. But
Yeah, but
I'm
we'll
sure
have.
there'll be.
Yes. So, Prabhus and Matajis, if anytime if you feel any difficulties or anything, if you need our help, please do let us know. Don't hesitate. If you need any medical help or spiritual help in terms of if you think that something is putting you down and if you feel down and out, please call each other.
Do you have?
We are in. Yes,
Yes.
Prabhupada.
Yes. Do you have like I believe you all have WhatsApp.
Yes.
So is there a group that?
Yes.
There's a group already. Okay, great. So there on that group, you can share different ideas and stay in touch. Whatever the needs are, the needs can be met only when we communicate. So in that way, you can all in one spot in a WhatsApp chat group can be expressed, and your realizations, something that you thought about it, and it's very inspiring, or like Prabhu just said, medicine or any tips. So in that way, community feels, or everybody in the community feels that they are, they matter, and that they're cared for. It's very important. Okay, all the best.
Okay. Hare Krishna. Thank you.
Haribo, Hare Krishna.